Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the honor, the praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great men storm who are well. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered abroad. Alright, this is the brother Bob was all here with a lesson. The Lord willing us edifying. So today I just wanted to get into a quick lesson through the Spirit. Going into Esau and the downfall of this kingdom. All right, that Esau, he eventually has to go down, right? And that's of course, biblically written, prophesied, of course, by Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, that this man will only rule for a certain period of time, right? And the Israelites, all right, will come back, into that rulership, all right, into that the throne of David, right? The tabernacle of David, right? And that's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. All right, but in order for that to happen, this man Esau has to go down, along with his kingdom that he built up, from due to his wickedness, all right, due to the captivity, of the Israelites. All right. So we're just going to read a few scriptures. All right, and we're going to get right into it. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra 6 and 7. It says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the pardon of son of the times? And when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? Verse 8, And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. All right, so there you go. Dating all the way back, to the book of Genesis, right? Going into the birth of Jacob and Esau, even, when they were in the womb, when they came out, Esau coming out first, red, all right? And then Jacob coming right after, holding that heel of Esau, all right? That all, represented something, right? Even when you read, you see that, Jacob and Esau were struggling in the womb. All right. Being eventually becoming two nations, that are against each other. You see, Esau representing evil, the left-hand side, the wickedness, and Jacob, the righteous seed, right? The righteous, all right, the right hand, right? So we can go to verse 9 to say Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So, what exactly does this mean? All right. Esau is the end of the world, right? We in the end times, right? This was prophesied, by Yahushua, right? That, of course, the second half of this, Roman Empire, which we're currently in, all right, will be in the end. Yahushua, making that return, all right, and beaming up his elect, saving his elect, right? That represents the beginning of it that followeth, because that's going to represent the kingdom, right? But of course, we're living in the end times. You can read about it in, Matthew the 24th chapter. All right, several chapters in the book of Revelation. All right, you can find it, all throughout the Bible. The end times that the Bible speaks of, and we're currently in those times, right? And who is the man that's ruling? Well, it's Esau, the Edomites. When you read Job 9 and 24, it goes into the world, being given into the hand of the wicked. All right, and who's in control, right? It's the Edomites, in the way that they're ruling. All right, is not fit, right? It's not righteous. Okay, it's wicked. All right, polluting the earth. All right, ruling in a way that goes directly against the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. This is the type of man that's in rulership. Okay. A man who exalts himself as the Most High, right? Committing blasphemy. This is the type of man that's in rulership. You see. So that's why this kingdom has to be brought down, man. All right. Malachi 1:1. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. Verse 2, I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid mountains in his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. All right. So as you can see, the Lord hates, he hates a particular, race of people, the most, right? Going into, the Edomites, see? Because, you got the anti-Christians who like to say, the Lord is all love. No. All right. The Lord has a people that he has indignation for, that he hates. And he also has a righteous seed that he loves, that he's dealing with. You see? So this man Esau was not meant to have to rule forever. All right. Verse 4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return to build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. All right. And that's a name that the Lord has given the Edomites, the border of wickedness. All right. Of people whom the Lord have indignation forever. You see? And what's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven, all right, is the Edomites, they're going to go straight into slavery. And we can read that. So this is the book of Revelation 13:10. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. You see? So what has the Edomites done to our people? To the blacks, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, he's put them into slavery. All right, through slave ships. All right, you got the Trail of Tears, right? You got the island of Hispaniola, right? The Caribbean, right? The things that Esau has done to our people. Putting us into captivity. All right, through what? The sword. All right. When he came to the Americas, he came and put the sword onto the Native Americans and ruled that way. All right, and not just our people, but that's his blessing, right? But Esau has mainly used his blessing towards our people, right? And in doing that, he's on top. All right, his military might. All right, going into Babylon, America. All right, they're in rulership right now. All right, the top nation, on the earth. All right, and who runs America? All right, well, we already know it's the Edomites. All right, it says, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. You see. And we have to have that patience. We have to wait for the Lord to make his return. All right. Day in and day out, we going out into the highways and hedges. We preaching. Preaching the word. More of the Lord's people are waking up to the fact that we're the true Israelites. To the fact that we in the end times. That this man Esau is the wicked. All right, that this man Esau is a so-called white man. All right, that the Lord, he's only dealing with, the Israelites. You see? all this is coming out, man. All right, and actually let's read that. 2 Thessalonians 2:3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. What is that falling away going into? All right, it's going into the Israelites, right? Our people losing their heritage, losing who they are. Okay, you don't have a history, all right, of another nation, going into a captivity that led into them losing who they were as a people. All right, losing their heritage, their identity. Now, we, our people go by, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. All right, which that's not who we truly are. All right, we're finding out through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that, we're those people. We're the Israelites. Waking up to the fact of who we are, right? Rehearsing the righteous acts. Going out into the highways and hedges, and warning our people of the destruction, warning our people of what's to come. All right, telling our people who that son of perdition is, right? The man of sin, Esau. All right, exposing this man. You see? So that's all happening, and while that's happening, we see, that the times are speeding up, the times are shortening. We understand that, the Lord can come back any day now, man. Verse 4, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worshipped, so that he, as Yahweh, sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. Yeah, and what this man Esau has done, he sat in the throne like he's the Most High, right? We know that his image of Satan, right? Cesare Borgia, who they call Jesus Christ, right? Who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. They set up that false image of a so-called white man. All right, being the only begotten son. Well, that's complete blasphemy, man. That's complete idolatry. All right, but that's what this man has done in order for him to set himself up. All right, to be that like the Most High, right? And we know that his ultimate goal, right, is giving everybody the MOTB, the mark of the beast, which we know is the RFID. See him, you see, and then him doing that, he can ultimately set himself up, being like a God, right? Being your God, because when you take it, you're pretty much acknowledging that the Edomite, Esau is your God, that you worship Esau, that you're down, with this beast system. All right, that you're fully allegiating yourself, with this society, with Esau being your God, because what can he do with this? All right, what can he do with that RFID, technology? All right, he can track you. All right, he can control wherever you go. All right, he has all the information on you. All right, possibly he'll put you to death if need be. All right, and that's him pretty much sitting himself on that throne, trying to be like the Most High, but we know that the Lord will only allow this man to go so far, you see, and we have faith, that the Lord is coming back to tear down his kingdom and deliver his elect. Alright? But that'll pretty much do it. Lord willing, it was edifying. So with that, I want to give all the honor, the praise, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Baruch HaKodesh. Shalom.